Hey everyone, welcome to Aerobic AF. I'm Ken.
And I'm Quinlan. We're pumped you're here. This is your home for running, fitness, and all things hybrid training.
New episodes drop weekly wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
And don't forget to connect with us on our Instagram at aerobicafpod.
Quinlan, you were up to something last night at our friend's birthday party that many a boyfriend before you has been ostracized for. You were streaming a sporting event on your phone while you were at the birthday, albeit it wasn't the Leafs game and it wasn't the Raptors game. What did you have on your screen?
Such a great question. I was streaming the Elite 15 Women's America Regional Championship. It was held in DC over the weekend, and it is my version of a Super Bowl or a Leafs game because we don't get to see these athletes compete very often. And so when they do and when it's live streamed, I had a lot of FOMO from those at home streaming on YouTube, and so I did pull it up on my phone.
And you were drawing a little bit of a crowd.
I was going over to people, and I'd have my phone kind of out. I was really trying not to look down so that I could, keep socializing. But, the minute someone's like, "What's that?" it just got me all excited and engaged again. And then, next thing you know, 10 minutes later, I've got a little posse streaming right before they're about to sing happy birthday.
Hey, listen, timing is everything. This was also the Elite 15 women's race, which was on a little bit earlier in the night. We caught some of the men's race a little bit later. We're recording this on Sunday morning, so the Elite 15 doubles races are yet to go a little bit later. Not surprisingly, it was Lauren Weeks with
Absolute
another
distraction.
It was a distraction
She's
performance.
incredible to watch race. For anyone who has not live streamed one of these events before, as I mentioned, it's, I'd say, monthly where we get like a live stream from either a major or the regional championship races. And then, of course, they live stream the world championship races. But one of our favorite athletes to watch race is Lauren Weeks. She's quite dominant as a female competitor. And it's hilarious because every time she races, it's like I act surprised that she's going full send from the minute the gun goes off. But that's just how she does it. And it's super impressive. It looks like she's just like redlining the whole way.
This race in particular, I thought was interesting because it's the first year that they've rolled out these specific regional championships.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. So that is to say, you have to be from the specific region. That means holding a passport this race was for the Americas. So that means you have to be holding a passport from anywhere in North and South. I believe it's South America as well, although the field was dominated by Americans and there was just 2 Canadian athletes who squeezed in.
Yeah, we were perplexed on what they really meant by Americas since it was all U.S. and Canada for both the men and women's race. Awesome to see Canadian representation there. Obviously, the U.S. is a lot bigger. So for Canada, I think it's such a win when we get a couple of athletes in the field.
And a friend of yours was actually competing
Lindsay.
in this race. Your friend Lindsay, who you're going to be competing pro doubles with in Miami in about 3 weeks' time.
I'm so excited to fire it up together. It will be, I think, both of our first races for like a pro women's doubles race. So what's great about that is that I think we complement each other really well between like me having a running background, she's a CrossFit background. So it'll be really fun to race together. But yeah, I wanted to watch her on the big stage and, see everything unfold. It's pretty damn cool when you have people that are competing at this level. It's very aspirational, that's for sure.
Speaking of Canadian representation on the men's side,
oh my
some
gosh,
very impressive racing from our boy and Lindsay's coach, Cole Learn, who threw down an epic performance.
Yeah.
We thought that he was going to be on track for the world record there for a second when he got into that final station.
It was
He was just
amazing
absolutely
to
cooking.
watch. Yeah, we were at a bar just getting a drink, and I think I had been, again, looking at the race when I was waiting for you to roll up. And then I don't know, 5 minutes in, I think you said, you were like, we can watch the race. Like, let's just pull it up and put it on. And it was right around burpee broad jump. And so I had kind of lost track between sled push, sled pull. So when we started streaming it, all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, Cole's in first. Like, what did we miss? What happened? And then he basically just ran away with it, and it was his to lose at that point.
He really dropped the hammer. I find the way that he runs the race, he paces it really, really efficiently. He tries not to burn out on station 1 through 3, and then seems like right at the burpee broad jumps is where he drops the hammer and then just absolutely floors it for the back half of the race. So when he was leaving that station
in first,
it was feeling like it was going to be his day.
Yeah.
A really tough field too, with the
deep.
likes of Rich Ryan, Dylan Scott, Ryan Kent. Like, there were some very established athletes in this field. So for Cole to come out on top but beating Dylan Scott by over a minute, I think, when it was all said and done, is a very impressive showing for Cole.
I think Dylan was probably like, damn, I was not anticipating this today, but here we go. So yeah, awesome to see a Canadian athlete performing like this. It's, again, very inspiring, and, really makes you think about the patience of getting there. I think he's been working really hard for quite some time. So seeing it pay off is, just amazing.
It's been such a fast come up, it seems. Because I think he ran a 102 in Chicago 3 years ago.
Maybe that type of breakthrough is a combination of just consistent work over time, and then you do that extra 20% that you weren't doing before, and it unlocks this huge amount of potential. I feel like that's what happened, because it felt like a big jump, right? You were saying from even just in the last year of his racing.
Well, I think it's even surprised him if you watch some of his posts on Instagram. He was saying that he did intend on getting to a point where he was able to compete for an Elite 15 spot, but I don't think he was expecting it to happen this quick, or maybe even this season. And then he kind of had that race early in the year in Boston that went really well. And that was the green light for him that he was going to be able to perhaps qualify for some of the majors in the winter.
Yeah. It's like what we were talking about, I think a few episodes ago, around when you remove the pressure and expectation of yourself, there's a lot of opportunity to succeed and blow yourself away, because you're not expecting it. So you won't be disappointed if you fall short, but then you end up blowing it out of the water.
It's one of those things as well that shows you're not really sure when your moment might happen.
Exactly.
If you're putting in the training and you're showing up consistently and you're trusting that you're putting in the work, your breakthrough will come. Sometimes it's just not when you're expecting it to.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to let go of when it will come after it's been either a few years or a few races, to give it time to just show up and trust in the universe that when it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I have a lot of friends in the running world specifically who, we have different barriers or goals we want to hit, like a sub 3-hour marathon or sub 2:45 marathon. Like it just keeps getting, the goalpost keeps shifting. But once you get to a certain point, it is a lot harder to shift that goalpost for yourself and to, get 1 minute faster, 2 minutes faster. So I think in those instances as well, it's even more important to kind of let yourself do the work, let the training sink in, and see what happens on race day.
One thing I find so impressive about the High Rocks athletes in particular is that the season seems to extend for so long that if you don't get the qualification early on, like Cole has been searching for this for a little while now to
Yeah.
qualify for Sweden. He made it clear that that was his goal. If you don't get that out of the way early in the season, which some athletes are able to do at the first major, or it's a carryover from
They're kind of
results from the
chasing it.
prior year, you are really trying to maintain peak fitness for the majority of the year and multiple A races that are spread across several months, which is extremely difficult to do. And that's part of what we want to discuss today is how these athletes avoid burnout, and how do athletes like you and I avoid burnout who are
Yeah.
in this hybrid training environment when the expectation really is that you're in peak fitness for the majority of the year
You're
because the
racing
races are so
all
spread
the
out.
time. Yeah, it's the season starts around September and then goes until June, which is World Championships. So that's a lot of months worth of races. And there are races that happen every weekend in multiple cities across the world. So if you want to race, there's an opportunity to do so for quite some time. That's definitely something I've actually struggled with is how do I plan my training schedule? Like I had my A goal race, which was Toronto, October of this year. I didn't place first in my age group, but I got a roll down like qualification to the world championship, which is awesome because to your point, I'm like, great, don't have to worry about that.
And this was also an interesting thing that happened because Toronto was a race. It went well, but you didn't get the qualification. You picked a new A race for Vancouver to
Or
try to qualify.
I didn't get a P. Oh yeah, then I got a roll
and then
down.
got the roll down. And then the
Yeah,
Vancouver race all of a
right.
sudden became a training race.
Just for fun, or yeah, for
Well,
experience.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we could try out some different strategies. Like you were looking at it more as with less pressure heading into that race because the world qualification had already come at a later date after you had booked Vancouver
Yes.
with the intention of trying to qualify for Worlds there.
Yeah, and it actually ended up working out really well that I had that race locked and loaded in the calendar because they've introduced now even newer rules with the whole qualification standards around a point system, not a time-based system, which is even going to be a further challenge for the athletes moving forward around burnout because now you need to have 5 races that get you these points so you can qualify for the like elite
Everything,
races and
it looks like.
everything. So if that resets every year, it's like you're looking at 5 races that
Within
are
the calendar year.
within a calendar year that you're performing at a high level. So it like are some of them going to be B races? Probably, but it's crazy what's going on now.
No, and I think that when you compare the hybrid racing environment to traditional sports, like traditional road running seasons, or even, for example, triathlon, there are definitive seasons where you're in season, and there are definitive off seasons where it's generally in the winter time.
So much easier.
There's just less races. People are not competing, and everybody's scaling into basically the early spring races, which are, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of like April, May.
Yeah.
And then there's another slot of races that are kind of post-summer, September, October is the second half of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's definitely a lot easier to plan your year around those types of races because you have a kind of off season where you're cross training, building strength, doing a little bit less volume, but still maintaining a solid base. And then you move into your like 12 to 16 week actual training plan where you are going to peak at the time of your race. You race, then you take some time off and you reset for the next season. It's like clockwork. And it's nice. It's comforting. You kind of know what's coming each month of the year. But I feel like I've just been, I don't know, kind of holding on to fitness or trying to figure out this new world and what my new training structure looks like. I think I even said to you earlier today, I was like, if I want to get faster at running, I know exactly what I need to do and how to do it to get faster if I want to. But I do not know how to get faster with high rocks.
Yeah.
Because of all these things of like, okay, well, I'm going to race again at the end of March, and then I'm going to race in May, and then I'm racing in June, and then I'm racing in September. Like I don't know. How do you not burn out when that's what your calendar looks like?
Okay, first and foremost, let's say if you have a friend or a training partner who is trying to keep peak fitness, send this podcast to them.
Like
because,
me.
Yes, like you, because it will show them that you love them, that you care about them, and you care for their longevity in the sport. So please share this with anybody who you feel may be facing burnout in their training, and don't do as Q says. Because generally,
Yeah.
like, you just seem to be adding races all over the place.
It's becoming a little hectic actually, but
You're also going to High Rocks Houston now, I think, in
I did.
about a week
I
and
just
a couple of weeks, just before Miami.
that. You know what? Yeah, I think something about High Rocks that I'm still learning is how to race it and how to race it well. I feel like I could, run a 10K and I know how it's going to feel throughout the race, but I haven't quite figured it out with High Rocks yet. So I do still see every solo race as an opportunity for experience and testing out different strategies. Something that we've been talking a lot about is technique. So wanting to see how that transfers, but I'm definitely being a little bit honest with myself on, okay, what is the intention of this race, and making sure that I still maintain my A races as they are so I can train around those.
This is an important distinction because even though you've added these races and there are expectations in Houston, because the reason that you're going there is specifically to try to garner points for this rating system so that perhaps you can get enough points to qualify for the Canadian relay team, which is now points-based, and apparently you can only accumulate points until the end of April.
Yep, so here I am.
Or the beginning of April even. It's not even the end, is it? It's
April 1st.
Yeah.
So here I am racing on like March 27th or something.
To squeeze it in. Yeah. So that's the intention there. The Miami race is not an A race for you, though. That's your first doubles race. It's more of you're going to go try something new with a new partner. Yeah, exactly. So it's an important distinction that you have to choose which races are your A races, and some of them can be a little bit more casual. We call them B races, C races. I just had one of these on my schedule, the Chile Half Marathon. It wasn't something that I was trying to race specifically or going out trying to get a PB. I just viewed it as like a very good training race, a good hour and a half effort. That's a part of the block building towards what my A race is, which is later in May in Ottawa.
Yeah, I actually think that when you have a really well thought out like A, B, C race calendar, that's one way to help avoid burnout, because it gives you these little milestones and opportunities to showcase some fitness. As long as you're keeping your expectations where they should be for races that you're not fully tapered for. It's a great way to just keep yourself engaged with the sport. And it's also very fun. Like the race environment, I certainly had a lot of FOMO from the Chile Half.
I mean, to be fair, that was a very cold outing. And the race environment is obviously very fun. But if you're going to skip one, it may as well be the half marathon where it's -17.
Yeah, I'll skip some of the winter races. That's fine.
And I think that's one of the struggles when you're living in Toronto, and it does contribute to the burnout, is that in the wintertime, it's just cold, it's dark, you can't run outdoors as much, which we've talked about quite a bit on this podcast. But all of that contributes to mental fatigue, which can ultimately leave you feeling a little bit more burnt out in your training. And generally, if you're feeling burnt out mentally, then it starts to manifest itself physically after the fact.
Yeah, I've heard this from quite a number of people recently, actually, from, let's call it November till now. That's like a 4-month stretch of a pretty brutal winter. So
awful.
It makes sense that your mind would, start to go a little crazy. It's becoming a little monotonous. Maybe you haven't raced in that period of time. So you're becoming a bit more disengaged with what you're doing daily. I'd say if anyone is racing this spring, that think about taking a recovery week or a reset week around now before you get into your next big push into your goal races. I had this happen unintentionally. Obviously, we talked about how I gave blood and then got sick. So it forced me into a like unplanned down week. But I think it actually was exactly what I needed because now I'm really enjoying the runs and the workouts. I feel the joy again. The joy has returned.
It's funny how sometimes exactly what you need happens through a circumstance that you can't control.
Yeah.
It was
Thank you,
similar for
universe.
me that I kind of got the deload week after the surgery, and it was a little bit of just a reset and recovery that ultimately left me feeling now more fresh and more ready to tackle this 3 or 4 month block, this build into the summertime, and feeling more fresh mentally, more ready physically to tackle this. And as we're scaling the volume now, I'm actually feeling great with where the aerobic fitness is, where the cardio fitness is. Probably the best I've ever felt entering
Oh,
a spring
wow.
block.
That's an awesome feeling. Yeah, it's crazy how like we're talking about this now and reflecting on how our periods of recovery has been actually quite positive for our training and our overall joy. But at the time, I think both of us did really struggle.
It was awful.
It was like not easy.
I hated it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all like, it was amazing. We're so happy now.
No,
But
and
it's easier said than done. And I think hopefully, when you go through these experiences and you live them, it gives you more confidence the next time something like this happens. But to anyone listening who is, feeling burnt out, we see you and we feel you, but, it is good to take time away and you're not going to lose that much fitness. You're not going to miss out on too many runs. Just look at it as being able to have more longevity over the whole year.
I want to talk about some of the signs that can steer you towards the fact that you might be heading towards burnout.
Yeah, like how do you know if you're
athlete.
burning out?
Yeah, I think one is persistent physical fatigue. If you are just feeling the body's just tired all the time, if you're usually bouncing back a little bit more quickly than usual and you're feeling like the body's just feeling a little beat up, even if you have worked in your deload weeks, which should be about every 3 weeks, a week with a little bit less volume to let those adaptations settle in, this is a good sign that you're feeling you might be heading towards burnout. Also, if the performance is declining or workouts are just feeling harder, the RP is higher for similar efforts. These are all physical signs that you might be heading towards burnout.
This is an interesting one because I think as athletes, we expect to feel a certain amount of fatigue, right? Like we talk about cumulative fatigue and how we're training on tired legs, and that's supposed to be part of where you get the physical adaptation. So for anyone who's confused, if you're like, oh, well, is this just what training is supposed to feel like? Or am I actually headed towards burnout? I think it's good to check in with, like on the performance side that you were saying, are you able to hit your interval paces? Are you able to still run your easy runs, for an hour? Or are you having to, cut them shorter? Like looking at the actual data behind your runs, I think can be helpful to figure out that line. But yeah, it's tough because, you want to work hard and push through, but not to the point that you are really suffering physically. And then you get to 2 weeks before race day and you're just like completely depleted. It's not what you want.
No. And I think actually before the physical signs show up for me personally, where I've experienced burnout or where I do have in the past is actually mentally. It shows up and I start to feel like I have less motivation. I start to feel like I'm actually dreading sessions that I usually enjoy. Like we've talked about how I really enjoy showing up for the training. It's like the threshold workouts that we do are some of my favorites. But there are certain times where I've just felt overextended and felt very tired and just have really had to drag myself into those sorts of workouts and try to get myself to really push through. And that's a good indicator for me that I might have been overdoing it a little bit, and I need to either take a deload week or just let my foot off the gas a little bit because I might be experiencing this.
Yeah, that sucks when that starts happening too, because
the
it's
flat feeling is the
yeah,
worst.
you feel like disengaged, you're not excited. You know that this is something you're supposed to enjoy because people are always like, enjoy the process. The process is the best part.
Oh,
It's
man.
all about the process. You're like, fuck, the process is so hard. But it's good to keep an eye out for if training is starting to feel more like a chore, because
Yes,
we hear top athletes talk about this all the time, where it is supposed to be enjoyable and fun. Obviously, there's going to be times and days in your week that are a bit more discipline, and it takes a bit more to get out the door.
and that's normal.
Yeah, but keep a little log. I have a training journal, and sometimes I'll put like a smiley or a frown face beside my runs or whatever I did that day. And if I see too many frown faces, that's something that, I start to think about. I'm like, well, why am I having such a bad time?
She puts a smiley face or a frown face next to our interaction as well.
Yeah.
If there's too
Without
many
him
frown
saying.
faces,
I'm like, time to start a fight.
yeah, then I'm in big trouble. One way to avoid burnouts, and I just want to talk about some strategies now that we can use to try to avoid this through the stretch of the year.
Because, yeah, the reason why burnout is such a threat to your performance is because it threatens your ability to be consistent. And we talk about this all the time. Like, it's not about you're smiling. Am I giving it away?
No, I'm just laughing at your last comment. Please continue.
Oh, I think being consistent season over season is really where you're going to see a lot of progress. So being able to zoom out and not look at, oh my God, if I don't do this workout today, all is lost. Like that, skipping that workout might be what you need to reset and allow yourself to keep going.
It's looking at the macro, the big picture, instead of the micro, the day to day, which don't get me wrong. We talk about it all the time. Consistency trumps everything.
Yeah.
So just getting the easy sessions in over and the longevity of those will give you the results over time. But I don't want that to be mistaken for the fact that if you are feeling this way and you are feeling like you're burnt out and you're overextended, taking a break and letting your body recover and recovering mentally is going to benefit you more over the longevity, which ultimately, if you're feeling burnt out, you aren't going to be able to show up consistently for yourself. And that's ultimately going to harm you more in the long term than it is just missing one workout or taking a lighter week in the looks like of a huge 12 or 14 week block.
So few strategies now that you can put into place. I think we kind of talked about this a bit earlier in the podcast, but picking a true A race.
Like, and be clear about it.
Yeah.
Honest about what your A race, your B race, and your C races are.
Yeah.
And then stick to it. It's hard in the race environment to show up.
I find it so hard. I'm like, oh man, I told myself I was going to be controlled today.
Honestly, thank God at the Chili Half that
I would have raced it full out.
You dropped, and then I got to pace our friend Eddie.
Yeah.
Because it kept me honest and I didn't overextend on that effort, which was also good because
which is great.
My legs were feeling very tired on that day. And if I did race it, I feel like I would have faced repercussions and probably not, A, performed optimally, but B, also it would have screwed up the rest of my week if I was really overextending in that way. And as it turned out, I was able to just take the Monday and the Tuesday off as rest days and then just reassume training as normal on the Wednesday.
Yeah. And one of the ways that I've found, and even how I'm looking at Houston, to be honest, because I've added that race like literally a few days ago.
At the 11th hour.
Yeah. There's no way it's an A race. I'm like, it'd be stupid for me to expect like big things at this juncture in my training. So I'm going into it really with the mindset of I'm going to test out a few different techniques with the station work. Great opportunity to do that in a race environment and just more experience. But it's still going to hurt. Like it's going to be a very, very hard effort. So yeah, keeping it intentional is really good because then when you do line up for your A race, you feel like so ready to hammer down versus every time you show up to a start line, you're, expecting a PB.
Yeah. So just understand which races you're doing for fun, which races are perhaps training races, which are just used to get experience in the race environment, work on your nutrition, make sure that your body, your rest, everything, like there's a lot of positives for racing and a lot of things that you can really get dialed in that don't necessarily have to do with the results on the piece of paper at the end of the race.
Yeah.
And even for you, skipping races where you might not have it on that day. Yeah. If you're not feeling it, like just skip it. I thought this was a great decision that you made for the chili half the other week. When you woke up and you weren't feeling well, a past iteration of yourself might have shown up and just tried to push through and race that anyways.
Yeah. And then it would have been a full week off after that.
Yeah. So it's smart. Just listen to your body and understand what the intention of the race is and be clear about that if you're trying to avoid the burnout. The second thing is for hybrid athletes specifically with the longevity and the way that the season's structured, you have to create your own off season.
You do.
You can't, because you could race, as you said, there's races every weekend of
all
the year
round.
all over the world. And now it's kind of a 12-month rolling schedule, it seems like, is what we're moving into. So the expectation is that you're at peak-ish fitness for a majority of the year. One thing that can help hybrid athletes reset is picking their own kind of 3 to 6 week block that is just your off season. And during their off season, you can just lower your intensity. You can do more training that's a little bit more intentional as far as enjoying the training rather than just specifically performance-based things.
Yeah, I actually feel this for myself. Like even though we took a bit of time off over the holidays and into January, it was like shorter lived. I think having some time off this summer, I'm like really looking forward to that. I will caution everyone though, don't always do what the elites do because I know Joanna, one of the elite 15
Joanna
women,
Witchick, yeah.
She ran a marathon in her off season from High Rocks, which I was like, whoa, I can't think of a worse thing for me to do. Like that's really crazy. It's super impressive. I think she ran like a low 250 time. Obviously she's like super fast and talented, but my point being is that you can also focus on other races, maybe not a marathon for everyone, but it's a good opportunity to just, do fun things, new things, something different from your main sport, I guess we'll say.
And that could be just pickup sports. You could do a little bit more strength focused training.
Yeah.
That's a little bit less intensity. That's a great thing to do in the winter here in Toronto, is just when you're doing more indoor activities, use that time to build up your strength in the off season. If you can't get the running volume in that you would naturally get in the summertime, there are ways to stack the deck in your favor that will pay dividends later, that also allow your body to kind of rest, recover. It's a little bit of a different stimulus than we get a lot of the time. Can be really useful.
Yeah, and that's a great segue into the next tip of avoiding burnout. I think being honest about your expectations in each season. So there's a reason why you talk about building strength over the winter, because it is a great time to, I'll say bulk, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like you're building strength. It's a bit more.
Do you think I've put on weight over the winter?
Well, so no, we had opposite experiences. I was putting on jeans today. We both had very different experiences putting on our jeans today. I felt like mine were tighter. I think the creatine is whatever that's causing some problems. And I'm blaming everything on creatine.
The creatine is performance enhancing, but also retention in the muscles, the water weight.
1 or 2 inches for jeans can just be a little tight. So I'm struggling with this. And then over here, Ken's like, well, my jeans are too big.
Well, to be fair, I don't think I've bought new jeans in a couple of years, and now with all the aerobic work I've been doing, it's quite clear that I've gone from a 32 waist maybe down to a 30.
Yes, we all have struggles.
So yes, it's like now I'm swimming a little bit in my
We
jeans.
both need to go jean shopping.
To buy a new belt.
Maybe I'm just getting super strong.
You're getting super strong.
My sled push is going to be amazing this year.
The winter focus should definitely be on just indoors, whatever you can do in indoor sessions that will be beneficial. So a lot of that has to do with strength. You can still do aerobic base building work. The ergs, it's like skiing, rowing, biking, can be great foundational pieces moving into the spring and summer seasons for cross training that really do translate quite well when you're looking at hybrid athletics, or even if you're a runner. That sort of base building can like also help the aerobic development through these seasons.
Totally. And yeah, then when you move into summer, it's definitely a lot more enjoyable to be running outside. We know, and studies show that when you run like outside with friends, you'll go farther and faster. So
especially if you have fast friends.
Yeah, especially then. So I always expect my volume just to naturally go up kind of without even trying, because you're just doing a bit more socially. And I think that's the case for anyone where like spring and summer is just a time of being out and about. So even if you're not training or running, you're walking around, you're seeing friends, you're going for dinner. Like it's just, there's a lot happening. So I feel like that, boosts joy as well. And it can make, going to the gym that morning not as bad. It's also so much lighter. I think we need to talk about light and sun, because that's a huge mood booster.
Speaking of which, happy daylight savings.
Yes.
Kind of was a little bit derailing this morning, feeling like we're waking up so much earlier for a normal time.
I know. I can't believe it's still so bright out. It's like 6 p.m.
Yeah, well, this is what we're paying for.
Yeah.
With the earlier wake up call. But for sure, the summer like run volume, I 100% agree, goes up. Just easier. There's a lot more kind of races, just fun races going on, whether those be simulations, whether they be local 5Ks, 10Ks.
So many 5 and 10Ks in the summer.
The
so fun.
Like relay that they run out in our neighborhood. There's just a lot of opportunity to get into those environments and just enjoy the fitness community, which we're actually quite blessed living in a city like Toronto. There's tons of events going on everywhere all the time.
Yeah, I bet there's a running club like every 5-kilometer radius meeting up at any given time.
Yeah. I think one thing as well in the winter that's a little bit difficult is the monotony of everything.
Totally.
And in the summertime, there's way more variety. This is something that also you can look at changing if you're feeling like you're burning out a little bit. It's just either changing the gym environments. One thing that I find really helps me and something that we do regularly are the group fitness workouts.
Yeah.
So although we do agree that sometimes the individual workouts can be better for specificity and skill development, the group environment can be really stimulating because you get to see your friends, you get to be around people, you get that social aspect, and also it can kind of help you dig deeper in some sessions that maybe you wouldn't if you were doing the same thing by yourself. I know the coaches at our gym often really inspire you to lift a little bit heavier or go a little bit harder in certain movements.
A little tap on the shoulder, like, let's add some weight next set. Like, okay.
My favorite is Coach Addison, who will just come over and just bring me heavier weights when I'm doing something.
That's the best. It's good. Sometimes you need that little extra push. And so, yeah, I think it also, like, visiting other gyms that aren't yours. So we did that a couple of times over the winter. We go to One Academy, we talked about a lot. They have a location downtown, so mixing in some of those. Our friend Dana just started coaching at Sweat and Tonic, so been hitting up the lab as well. And that's definitely been great to, change the environment, even if the training is largely, well, actually it's pretty different too. So it's nice to change how you are approaching, these like high rocks workouts or just general strength. It's great.
Um, Reducing volume without losing fitness is also something that you can kind of try to do in the wintertime. Because something that I struggle with is when the volume comes down for the running, it does feel like I'm losing a lot. When the
Yeah.
reality is, as we've talked about in past podcasts, it's like the fitness is actually the same, or it's like it feels like I'm maintaining the aerobic base. Even on our long run today, I was feeling great with where the aerobic fitness was. Like the heart rate was low for the effort that we were doing. Although the legs were feeling a little bit heavy, it was the first time in a little while that I felt that the cardiovascular fitness was actually like right where it needed to be.
Yeah. It's awesome when it starts clicking again. But yeah, that kind of ties into actually even just changing up your training format. So I see this happen a lot with like runners specifically especially when you have a coach who has, more or less the same type of plan season over season. So you can expect the same type of training, whether some coaches favor like longer runs, like larger volume weeks, more, well, I guess quantity over quality, but being able to switch it up and, we talked about like a speed block, right? Like faster sessions, but shorter, less volume overall. Those are great ways to keep yourself engaged rather than feeling like every season you're kind of following the same playbook. It might work for you really well for 2 or 3 races. And then all of a sudden you're like, I kind of want to try a different training approach. So it's good to be, on top of that. So you're switching it up. And I also see this as a point in our lives where we are discovering what works well for us. Imagine getting to a point where you've tested out how your body adapts and responds to different types of training. And then in 5 years, you know exactly how to get yourself um, like that much faster because you spent the time in this discovery phase. Like that's what I think about personally. It's why I'm really enjoying switching gears from, high volume marathon training to more of like a hybrid high rocks focus. Cause yeah, it's like, why not just, I don't just I kind of want to say fuck around and find out.
I was going to say, are we going to drop an F
Like
bomb there? I was
what's
going to
the
say
worst?
F around and find out what's the worst thing that can happen. We're going to get the
Yeah.
explicit.
What's the worst thing that could happen? You're
Word.
probably just gonna run, I don't know, some race will be faster.
Yeah. I think it's all a good point. Like the more different training stimuluses that you can integrate into your training, the more you'll learn through time. I think a
Yeah.
good example of this, if we want to kind of bookend this, a good example of this is actually Lauren Weeks, who's been competing in the sport
Yeah.
now for about 7 years. And she'll say that she'll often be trying different stimuluses
Oh, yeah, she
throughout the
does.
entire season and kind of approach different blocks with different intentions and then see how the results pan out after doing a 12 or 14 week block of a different style of training and then get the concrete results, go back to the drawing board, see what was good, see what was bad, and then reset.
Yeah.
She's been competing in high rocks since the very beginning and is still adapting her training now after all this time, week to week, or based off of what her performance dictates.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really good example that athletes who aren't maybe competing at that level can still adapt, is that changing the stimulus is a great way to avoid burnout, but also it's a great way to learn what works for you as an athlete. What works for me is not going to be the same as what works for you.
Exactly.
Some people can handle a higher volume running. Some people need to adapt and do some cross training, whether that be more aerobic development on the bike because their bodies handle the high volume in running. Some people are just naturally stronger, so they need less strength and they do need more time to build the aerobic base. It's very individualized, and by mixing in the different stimuluses and changing it up over time, you can learn what really works for you, and it just keeps everything more interesting.
Yeah. I'll call out here though, I do think it can be difficult for athletes to make that change when they are seeing success in what they're currently doing. But it's like you don't know.
You take a step back.
Yeah, and you don't know what you don't know. So I'll give a personal example. I found out I guess I found out in 2018 or no, 2022. No, 2021. This is when I found out.
Final answer.
Sorry, final answer 2021.
Okay.
Let's say it was 4 years into my marathon training life. So I had been doing it for a couple of years at this point. I took a block that was lower volume and higher intensity. So my intervals were faster, but less volume overall. Let's say I was going from like 10K of work to 6K of work. And I ran my fastest 10K and one of my best marathons off of that type of training. That's where I discovered I could do pretty well as I'll call it low volume runner. So I stopped trying to chase these high volume weeks and I kept that for quite some time. What I'm trying to do now actually is even lower that volume because I'm mindful of, my longevity. And since I have 30% of my meniscus was removed when my ACL surgery was happening, because I injured that part as well, I am mindful that, there is some lack of cushioning there. So it's not worth it for me to, push too much. And by supplementing that with the strength training, I think it's still helping my body maintain that resilience. But it can be nerve-wracking as a runner or as an athlete to make those modifications because you do still want to see progression and performance. But my point here is that I have still seen progression and performance.
Where are we going?
With this change, but I didn't know that it was going to result that way because at that point, longevity is more important to me than performance. As competitive and hyper fixated on it that I am, I'd rather be doing it for the next 30 years than burn out in the next 5.
And this is an interesting point because for you, transitioning from just the specific running thing and maybe feeling like a little bit, or at times feeling a little bit burnt out from just the running training, transitioning to hybrid kind of athlete style of training, which is a lot different. There's different workouts that are going in. There's a lot more variety. There's strength training. There's other kind of loading training. There's other like more demanding sessions in there. Actually translated really well to your running training to where now you're seeing even PBs from
on the longer distances.
On the longer distances that you weren't seeing before with the lower volume, but just with the subsidized strength and other things associated.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest reasons why is because when I take a week off of lifting weights and just run, I'm like, damn, I'm running fast. My legs feel amazing.
It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling when you don't have the tired legs.
Yes, it is. So, I think that's actually great kind of bookend, as we say. The idea of burnout, it can be a scary thought. No one wants to burn out, obviously. We, love training, love the sports, and want to keep competing. That's why we're doing it. So being proactive about it and then being mindful of, are you mentally disengaged? Are you physically too fatigued to the point where it's becoming a chore and it's not enjoyable? Take a step back, reset. It's not going to be the end of the world. And, what we really want to convey is that it is supposed to be fun at least, 60% of the time, more than half. So make sure that you are, supporting yourself, not just in performance, but mentally and in this world of training that we love.
Don't skip your deload week like Q and I.
Yeah, or you'll be forced into it.
1 out of every 4 weeks should be a lower training volume. So just try to mix that in if you are feeling burnout. Just take a lighter week. Reset mentally, reset physically. It lets the adaptation set in, and your body and your mind will thank you.
Yeah, and we've all been there. Like, we all know what it's like to, feel forced out of it. So use it as a learning opportunity and don't make the same mistake twice.
If you connected with today's episode, share it with your training partner, post it to your story. We'd love to hear where you're listening from. Remember, follow us on Instagram at aerobicafpod. Leave a review, leave a rating. We've been loving the 1-star reviews that are coming in.
Thanks for the downloads, guys.
we appreciate it. We appreciate all feedback in all forums.
Yes, keep it coming.
And in the meantime,
stay aerobic AF.